Now we're going to look at taking an original conditional statement and changing it to a related conditional. Before we look at the related, let's first look at the term negating. You probably heard someone say, oh, they're very negative. That tends to mean they say no or not a lot. So to negate a statement, you put in the word not. If the statement already has a not nots, remember like negative times negative is positive, it becomes a positive. You remove the not if you're negating a not. So the symbol for negation is this squiggly line down here, which looks something like that. Related conditionals are made by negating and or switching the hypothesis and conclusion in your original conditional statement. Your original is if P, then Q. So the first step is to identify which one's P and which one's Q. Then we're going to use the definitions in the table to negate and or switch them. So again, the original is if P, then Q. The converse says we switch Q and P, so it's if Q, then P. The inverse is the negating of the original statement. This is the one we start with. So not P, if not P, then not Q. And the contrapositive does both. It negates and switches. So Q comes to the front with a negative, and P goes to the back with a negative. So let's go ahead and practice this. Write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive for the following statement. If all sides of a triangle are equal, then it is equilateral. So you see the if all sides of a triangle, that's our hypothesis. The then part is the conclusion. So the yellow is the P and the green is the Q. The converse we find from our table of definitions is Q, if Q, then P. So what I'm going to do is take the green part and write it first, and instead of having the word then, you notice that I actually have the word if, because I'm switching it. All right, so let me go ahead and get a different ink color here. So notice how this says if here now. Then I'm going to take what was originally the hypothesis and put it in the back after then. Then, if it is equilateral, then all sides of a triangle are equal. So it's basically switching positions on the converse. For the inverse, again, we still have the same hypothesis and conclusion. The inverse says not P, then not Q. So I'm going to take this part here, which is the P, and put a not in it. If all sides of a triangle are not equal, then it is not equilateral. Notice how the not goes in both parts. Order stayed the same. The contrapositive, you're doing both, switching and negating. So again, we still have the same hypothesis and the same conclusion. Now the conclusion is going to come in front with a not, and the hypothesis will go in back with a not. If a triangle is not equilateral. Now I could have said if it is not equilateral, and that would have been fine. But I want to show you that sometimes some of these words can move around and it'll still be the related conditional. So if a triangle is not equilateral, there's my if on the Q and my not, all right? Then all sides are not equal. So that is the contrapositive of my original statement. You can see the then and the not. Now we're going to do the converse, inverse, and contrapositive for the following. If Mr. Tran eats a whole pizza, he'll feel sick the next day. Converse, well, first of all, identify your hypothesis and your conclusion. So the yellow is my hypothesis, the green is my conclusion. Converse means just switch. So I have to put an if in front of the heel, and the then goes in front of the yellow part. Now, sometimes you can have the words like Mr. Tran switch between those two, and I did that here. If Mr. Tran feels sick the next day, and I adjusted the verbiage to make it feel a little better, not super important, but it helps. If Mr. Tran feels sick the next day, then he ate a whole pizza. The inverse is putting the nots. So same hypothesis and conclusion, but I'm going to keep the same order, but nots in the whole thing. So if Mr. Tran did not eat a whole pizza, then he will not feel sick the next day. Notice I changed the verbiage just a bit to make it smoother. Finally, the contrapositive. Remember, we're switching and negating. If Mr. Tran did not feel sick the next day, see, here's the not, here's the if, and I'm using the back part. I did a switch. Then he did not eat a whole pizza. Hopefully he'll feel good the next day. So for reflection, if the word then does not appear in a conditional statement, how can you tell which part is the conclusion? You might go back and look at our first examples where we were missing the word then. How could we figure out which one was the conclusion? So there's your hint.